No, gay fuckers and fuckheads, no. I sat there and watched that debate last night, the Republican debate, and I've already, in a previous video, expressed my opinion on Santorum. And like I say, I like the boy. I believe in a lot of the things that he believes in. However, he's not a leader. He's a whiner. You can look in the video below this one if you want an explanation of why I believe that. But we don't need a whiner in the fucking White House. We need a leader. In the meantime, what else did we have up there? We had Gingrich. You know, Gingrich's track record ain't so good. You know that car insurance that most of us can't afford that we have to buy every month? Well, you can thank Gingrich and his buddies for that. You can thank a lot of Democratic Party members too. But, you can basically other little things, you know, I mean, over the years, whichever lobby has been willing to pay his bills, Gingrich has voted in favor of. And whatever comes out of Gingrich's mouth is subject to change after he's elected, and those supporting him, the big money, decide that they want to go another way. He will go right with them. Leave no doubts in your mind. I'm pretty sure that the Democrats put Gingrich up to running just to fuck up the Republican field, but there's no way I can prove that. And the man's track record speaks for itself. He's taken more special interest money than any other candidate up there. And he's pretty shameless about it. He tries to hide it, but to me, trying to hide it is the same as lying. We don't need a lying motherfucker in the White House. We need somebody that's there for the people, period. And the only one that Gingrich has ever been there for is his own damn pocketbook, period. Well, sometimes he looks out for his buddies' pocketbooks because he knows that they're going to line his pockets out the deal too. And then we've got Perry. Now, Perry used to be a damn Democrat. And he's voted along Democratic Party lines most of his political career. And basically, I think the only reason he is running is because his political career is pretty close to as far as it can go before it ends. And sure, he's done a little bit of good in Texas, but not a whole lot. Well, he brags about a lot of things. The Texas legislature did more than he did. Although he'll take credit for a lot of stuff they did. And if you go back just a little bit, he never really put the stuff forward himself. He kind of went along with the flow most of the time. I got them keywords in there most of the time. He has done some things on his own and pushed them forward, but in comparison, very few. And once a Democrat, always a Democrat. There is no way that boy can be trusted. I mean, I think the only reason he stepped up to the plate is he's at the end of his political career pretty much, and this is his last hoorah. You had Romney. Now Romney, he's had a pretty good political career. But he did have that that Romney Care thing going up there. And that wasn't the best thing because, you know, forcing people to buy something, much like they've already done with automotive insurance, you know, and health insurance is a lot more expensive than car insurance. You think you a broke motherfucker at the end of the month. Wait until this Obamacare shit kicks in. You'll see what broke motherfuckers about. You won't have any money left. And granted, he was the only one that had a decent proposal on a flat tax, which, yeah, okay, but let's look at the Constitution. Constitution says that all taxes are voluntary unless you're dealing in alcohol, tobacco, firearms, interstate commerce, or are a federal government employee. Remember, those of us my age, we remember back in the early 70s, they used to ask you, did you want to pay the tax when you went to the store? Nowadays, they don't even ask you. Income tax is voluntary, according to the Constitution. According to the IRS, you ain't going to get away with that shit, because even if you do know the Constitution, and even if you don't have to pay taxes, they're going to fuck with your life so bad that you're going to pay them anyway. Gingrich coming out there with 25% flat tax. You know, I mean, that shows a lack of thought. Okay, so let's take that 25%. 25% flat tax. Now that's your federal tax. And if you live here in Florida, or any other state that charges sales tax, we're going to use Florida's sales tax number. There's another 7% gone. You got your property taxes. We'll count that as the average person is paying 2 to 3% in property taxes. So now we're at 35%. We're just using the high number. And you got your state income tax. You got, you know, there's another, well, let's just leave it at 5%. 40% of your income's gone right there. I'm sorry, 40% to support the government? No, that doesn't quite make sense. And then you've got, every time you buy a tire, you've got that excise tax and all that happy stuff. Road use tax every time you buy gas, and that's on top of the sales tax. I mean, if you sit down and figure it out, I don't care if you're making $20,000 a year, roughly half of your money is gone every year to support one form of government or another. And to me, that is not the American dream. To me, the American dream is to work hard, do well, and live well off the fruits of your labor. And I never thought I'd hear these words coming out of my mouth, but Ron Paul was the only one that made any sense on the tax issue, because he raised it up and said 0%. And the reason for that 0% is because Ron Paul does understand the Constitution very well, and he does believe in it and supports it. And until they get another Republican candidate up there, I kind of got to lean with him. There's no way I'm voting for Obama. He didn't do it the first time, ain't going to do it this time. And that's not because he's black, that's because he's a damn Marxist, communist, you know, wants to turn the United States into a big welfare state. And none of these Democratic Party members can understand shrink the government to within its financial means. Don't raise taxes and sit there trying to fucking, you know, don't expand the government and continue to expand it, and don't raise taxes to keep the government going at such a huge level that nobody even likes it. Fucking shrink the government to operate within its financial means, and let it save in case there's a time of war. And you see, there's another thing where Ron Paul actually made sense for a change. He wants to shrink federal spending on the military, but you know, all these overseas bases is what he's wanting to shrink that spending on, not on defense of the United States, which is all we really need. We need a hell of an army here to defend us, and throw the rest of that shit out the window. Oh, by the way, you can thank Gingrich for all this homeland insecurity being out there, because he kind of supported that. He kind of supported all this TSA crap every time you go through the airport. You got Homeland Insecurity. Romney was kind of in favor of that, because if you look at what happened in Massachusetts, yeah, he's almost as much of a dictator wannabe as Obama. And then you've got anyway, back on Ron Paul there. Sorry, I haven't got my mind on what I'm doing here. But back on Ron Paul, he doesn't want to shrink the military as far as defending the U.S. He wants to get us out of all these countries that don't want us no way. And in case you're wondering, I'm taking these pinstripes off so that I've got a lot less goop in my sandpaper in a minute. And they're just plainly and simply the military under Ron Paul would be in America and maybe one or two other countries where we're really needed. And if we needed to stand up and defend ourselves, that's what would happen. We wouldn't be out there playing world policemen, trying to fuck with people that don't want us there. And Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, Peru, I can tell you firsthand they didn't want us there. Lebanon, Afghanistan, yeah, I've been there. They don't like us. But really, if we were going to go over there, we should have fucking kicked ass, not even bothered taking names, and been done with it. That's just my opinion. And you get, I can't really say much about Perry. Perry does want to secure the border. Romney is the only one that actually vocally said what I've believed and said for quite a number of years, that I have nothing against those who come here legally. But those who come here illegally, they don't need to be mollycoddled. They need to be kicked the fuck back out of the United States, period. They don't need to be on our welfare. And Ron Paul believes that about the same way. My thing with Romney is based on the fact that he did have that Romney Care shit going. I don't trust him to get in office and repeal Obamacare. In fact, what I see him most likely to do would be to get in office and go, oh hey shit, I think we can make this shit work. Let's try this. And basically, the average person who already can't afford car insurance, but they have to buy it just to fucking get back and forth to work, because if you live here in Venice, Florida, and you work in Northport, it's about 2.5 hours each way if you're going to try and take a bus. And somebody that lives in Venice and works in, say, Bradenton, that's 3 hours each way by bus. You can't be guaranteed you're going to get at the same spot at the same time every fucking day, so you really can't guarantee that you're going to be at work. But like, say somebody lived in Port Charlotte and worked in Sarasota. Oh boy, they better be making enough money to pay that car insurance, because they ain't going to get there on public transportation. Plain and simple. And that's only an hour drive. It's not even an hour. Well, I suppose it is an hour if you pay attention to the speed limit. As far as Gingrich goes, man, no fucking way. He has no business running for anything. Him and Santorum need to get the fuck out of the race. Perry, like I say, he used to be a Democrat. He's voted along their lines too many times. I mean, granted, he's not really a Marxist/socialist like most Democratic Party members are. He's not out to turn the United States into a welfare state. But he cannot be trusted to vote against those who keep trying to do exactly that, turn America into a welfare state. Once a Democratic Party member, always a Democratic Party member. Is not an actual Republican. And I'm not either. If I lean anything, I mean, I would vote Constitutional Party 100% of the time if I thought that they even stood the remotest chance in hell. And my thing with Ron Paul is I love most of his principles. I've been listening to him for years. But I think if he got in, we'd see way too much resistance in Washington against him. Because you see, he's the only one in the field that wants to actually bring back the Constitution. He wants to do what's right. He's a former libertarian. I don't know what he's doing on the Republican ticket other than it's probably the only way that he could get close. He's like the Constitutional Party, the Libertarians don't really stand a chance either. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion on what I feel about the candidates. Ron Paul, I guess, would be the only one that would get my vote out of the whole group. Either way, I'm voting Republican this time because every time these Democratic Party members get in there and take over, we ain't never had nothing but closer and closer to socialism / communism. Remember, it used to be the United Soviet Socialist Republic, which was based partly on Marxism, Stalinism, socialism. It's all the same thing. They can call themselves progressives all they want, but the real deal is they're fucking commies. All that socialist bullshit ain't what America's ever been about. Then you got I could put a lot of shit out there about Gingrich, but the boy just looks out for his wallet and his buddies' wallets. So, I mean, there's no point in ever putting him in. I don't see how he stayed in Congress so long other than big money behind him, putting up the advertising dollars, and he votes according to who's supporting his ass. So, alright, that's just my opinion on what I saw last night. And like I say, Ron Paul, I think, is about the only candidate out there that's interested in Americans and supporting America and keeping America American instead of communist and bringing back the Constitution. And the rest of them, I really don't think any of them can be trusted. I'll let y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.